WFYI podcasts are made possible by Heartland Film, presenting the Academy Award qualifying Indie Shorts Film Festival, showcasing 250 short films at Living Room Theaters and Newfields, July 23rd through July 28th. Tickets at indieshorts.org. WFYI podcasts are brought to you by Visit Bloomington, Indiana, where Hoagie Carmichael, Booker T. Jones, and John Mellencamp impacted the city and helped it become a music destination. Bloomington is home to a variety of musical artists, live music venues, and hundreds of annual music events. More information at musicbloomington.com.
What we're going to do right here is go back, way back into time.
This is Butch Slaughter, and you're listening to the echoes of Indiana Avenue. Welcome to my neighborhood, the Avenue. I grew up here, and each week I'll be sharing the sounds and stories of the people that made the Avenue great. Welcome back to the Avenue. On June 24th of 2025, the Indianapolis teacher and vocalist Lexie Webster passed away. She was 96 years old. Lexie was also the widow of the legendary Naptown saxophonist Russell Webster. In 2023, Lexie appeared on Echoes of Indiana Avenue with her daughter, Bonita Webster-Coleman, to discuss Russell's music. This week, on Echoes of Indiana Avenue, we'll celebrate the life of Lexie Webster by listening back to our conversation with Lexie. We'll also share classic recordings from her late husband, Russell Webster. Lexie Webster was born in Indianapolis on June 20th of 1929. Her parents, James and Iva Staples, migrated to Indiana from Tennessee. Lexie attended Crispus Attucks High School, graduating with honors at age 16. She attended college at Knoxville College and later earned a master's degree in education from Indiana University. Lexie worked as a kindergarten teacher for the Indianapolis Public School system for 35 years. During that time, she also performed as a vocalist. She recalled her musical pursuits during her 2023 interview with WFYI's Kyle Long.
I usually sang in choruses, like church choirs, and I sang in opera choruses.
Really? Yeah. With the Indianapolis Opera or local opera companies? Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What church were you affiliated with as a vocalist?
Witherspoon Presbyterian.
Okay.
In 1984, Lexie sang for the Indianapolis Opera Company's production of Aida, and she recruited her husband, Russell, to play a role on stage.
I was in Aida, and so I picked Russell and to be one of the guardsmen. Soldiers.
Before we listen back to our conversation with Lexie, let's hear music from her husband, Russell. Russell is known by jazz fans worldwide for his 1983 double album, Uncle Funkenstein. That record features many of the greatest legends in Naptown jazz, including Larry Ridley, James Spaulding, Pookie Johnson, and Mel Rhyne. We'll listen to the album's title track now. That was Russell Webster with Uncle Funkenstein. On this week's show, we're celebrating the life of Russell's wife, Lexie Webster. She passed away last month at the age of 96. In 2023, Lexie and her daughter, Bonita Webster-Coleman, spoke with WFYI's Kyle Long. Let's listen back to their conversation.
Mom, you go first.
Okay, I'm Lexie Webster, and I'm the widow of Russell Webster, the musician and whistling postman. And that's who I am.
Thank you.
And I'm Bonnie Webster, his oldest daughter.
So Russell, to the best of my knowledge, was born and raised in Indianapolis. Is that correct?
Yes.
That is correct.
What part of the city did he grow up in?
Oh, he grew up on the east side. And one thing about the east side, they say when he started to Attucks, he would form a band on the bus on the way from his home to Crispus Attucks High School. And they would play on the bus going to school every morning. Russell was fortunate enough to have gone to Arthur Jordan Conservatory of Music at an early age. And so he was really brought up with music.
Do you know what street he lived on?
He lived on Sheldon Street, 24th and Sheldon.
So in Martindale, Brightwood area?
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And you mentioned he went to Attucks and the Arthur Jordan Conservatory. At that time, Attucks had a very sophisticated music program, right?
Absolutely. They had, there was Merrifield and Russell Brown and Newsom, and they were all very good musicians.
Mrs. Webster, you told me you were a singer. Did you go to Attucks as well?
I did go to Attucks as well, and I didn't know Russell at the time, but I was in all of the choral groups, a cappella choir, girls' concert choir, you name it, I was in all of them. Glee Club.
You mentioned that Russell was he was forming bands on the bus on the way to school. So
yes.
Music was a part of his life from an early age.
It was a part of his life. He came from a family of musicians. His mother played the organ for some churches, and he knew how to play the piano. In fact, he played the piano for some of the groups when the piano player was missing. He would play for them.
When did he start venturing out into the nightclubs? I know he played on Indiana Avenue and all over the city in clubs. At what age did he start playing professionally?
Well, in the meantime, right after high school, he joined the Army. In fact, he joined his senior year of high school. And he went to the Army and stayed for 8 or 9 years. And when he came out of the Army, he reconnected with the bands that were on the Avenue and other places. In fact, I met him after he came out of the Army.
You mentioned that when he came back to Indianapolis after the Army, he started going back into the clubs and connecting with local musicians.
Right.
I know over the years he played with every prominent musician in the city. Do you know who some of the early musicians he was working with?
Well, certainly. When we got married, he would have gigs with Dudley Storm and
Duval,
Larry Liggett, and there were any of the bands that were going on at that time to play for different places. They would call him to play with them, and he played. He even had a band of his own at one time to fill in were entertaining people.
Bonnie, were you going to add something?
Oh, yeah. He did play with Jimmy Coe, the Jimmy Coe Big Band.
Yes, yes, he did play with Jimmy Coe's big band.
And he was he told me he was the first saxophonist because he got a lot of solos. I guess he felt like he was their star.
One of the stars.
Yeah. And he did a lot of arranging for them as well.
Obviously, Indianapolis produced a lot of jazz stars that were part of Russell's generation, maybe younger or older. And I've read that he played with Freddie Hubbard, Wes Montgomery. Do you know any of the details around his association with those musicians?
Only that he was friends with them and professional with all of the people that had to do with music. He was he played with most of them. Mm-hmm. There's so many of them, I can't think of the names of all of them that he played with, but he was a mentor to some of the younger ones coming through, too.
Mrs. Webster, when did you meet Russell? Were you hearing him out in the nightclubs, or did you meet him off the bandstand?
Actually, when he had just came home from the Army and was living in the YMCA. And I was singing with the church choir, and we had a job to go to at the YMCA. That's when the YMCA was on West Street. And so I guess he just happened to, I don't know what it was, but I guess I might have, he just took a fancy to me. And he told, Russell Brown was the director of the choir I sang. And so he said, and so Russell knew Russell from high school. He said, there's a guy that wants to meet you, and he's kind of goofy, but I think you might like him, or or something like that, to that effect. And because he would come to the choir rehearsal and find himself behind me and kind of have his music touch me some kind of way, and I look out and wonder what was he doing, and but I guess he was trying to meet me, and so Mr. Brown introduced us to each other, and that's how I met him.
What did you think of him as a musician at that time?
Well, as a musician, I didn't know he was a musician when I first met him. Didn't know that he was at all. In fact, he didn't even say he was. He was, when he took me out a couple of times, he didn't mention being in, we was just trying to get to know me, I guess, and each other. And so he never mentioned that he was a musician until later on. He asked me to go where he was playing, and that's the first time I knew that he was a musician.
How did it strike you when you heard him play the saxophone?
Well, I thought he was very talented, and I just wondered why he never even brought that up. He told me he played in the Army band, but I just thought that was it, but I didn't know that he was really a serious musician.
Mrs. Webster, you mentioned he was in the Army. He was also a postman for many years. Being a musician, to make your living as a musician can be hazardous sometimes. Did Russell ever work full-time as a musician, or did he always keep a steady day job?
No, not really. Just
The postman.
postman to
Yeah.
And
keep a roof over our head.
Sure, of course. He was smart, yeah. And tell me about his work as a postman. He was famous for whistling compositions on his mail route, and the Indy Star wrote about him, I know. Tell me about his work as a postman and his habit of whistling.
Yes, he did. He whistled when he was. Everybody knew when their mail was coming when he delivered it because he would be whistling, and they some liked it and some didn't. But anyway, some really knew when their mail was coming.
well, I remember he used to whistle, and then when he came home, he would whistle and write the notes. So he was actually
So he was actually
composing them.
composing as he was whistling.
Amazing. How long was he a postman?
25 years.
Wow.
25
he
years,
said,
I
yeah,
believe.
yeah, because he retired. He said that he needed to make a way for young kids. He had enough.
In addition to being a jazz flutist and saxophone player, Russell was a composer. He
Yes.
composed
Yes.
music. You mentioned he was whistling and composing as he worked. How much time did he spend writing music out at home?
He would write music
Almost every day.
every time he had a chance. He would be writing music.
There were big buckets of scores, and Jimmy Cope's son took some of them, and we never got them back. But
Well, he just had music. He would just write on anything that
yeah, he could do.
that if a tune would come to his mind, and he would jot it down.
In addition to composing traditional jazz works, he was also writing more elaborate pieces, right, for orchestras. And, I want to ask you about his album, but he wrote some pieces there for strings and for larger
Yes.
ensembles, right? Tell me about the scope of writing he did as a composer.
Well, I guess he would just hear all of these instruments in his head and jot it down. And the way he wanted it to be in whatever he was writing.
We've been listening back to our 2023 conversation with Bonita Webster-Coleman and Lexie Webster. Lexie passed away last month at the age of 96. Let's take a break from our conversation and listen to another track from Russell Webster's 1983 album, Uncle Funkenstein. This is Rock My Cradle. Echoes of Indiana Avenue will return after this short break.
WFYI podcasts are made possible by Heartland Film, presenting the Academy Award qualifying Indie Shorts Film Festival, showcasing 250 short films at Living Room Theaters and Newfields, July 23rd through July 28th. Tickets at indieshorts.org.
This is Butch Slaughter, and you're listening to the Echoes of Indiana Avenue. On this week's show, we're celebrating the life of the Indianapolis teacher and vocalist Lexie Webster. She passed away June 24th of 2025 at the age of 96. Lexie was also the widow of the legendary Naptown saxophonist Russell Webster. In 2023, Lexie appeared on Echoes of Indiana Avenue with her daughter, Bonita Webster-Coleman, to discuss Russell's music. We'll return to that conversation in a moment, but first, let's hear another track from Russell Webster's Uncle Funkenstein. This is Third Bossa Nova. That was the Indianapolis saxophonist and composer Russell Webster with Third Bossa Nova. That track appeared on Russell's legendary 1983 double album, Uncle Funkenstein. Let's return to our conversation with Lexie Webster and Bonita Webster-Coleman as they discuss Uncle Funkenstein.
His greatest masterpiece as a musician is the 1983 double album Uncle Funkenstein, which he produced independently, correct, and
Yes.
paid for independently.
Right.
He recruited, brought in some of the greatest Indianapolis jazz musicians of all time. James Spaulding and Larry Ridley came out from New York to play on the session.
Right.
Mel Rhine, famous
right.
for his work with Wes Montgomery, played piano on the record. Pookie Johnson was also on the record. This is a landmark recording in Indianapolis jazz history, and it's internationally known. Its original copy sold for $4,000. It was reissued by a record label in England. Tell me a little bit about how this project came to Russell and how he made this extraordinary session happen.
Well, he studied the musicians, and he knew exactly who he wanted to play with and how he wanted it to sound. And he handpicked his musicians because those are the ones that he wanted on his album.
One thing I wanted to throw in there is after he pressed it, he tried to get it on several radio stations, and they wouldn't play it. A lot, and he said it was because of payola. You had to pay somebody to play your music, and he felt like his music should stand on its own. So he ended up buying his own record label and calling it Lexie.
Named after your mother,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bonnie, you must have been pretty young when he was recording this, right?
No, I
No?
was in my teens.
Okay.
I
What
think.
do you remember anything about
Oh
it?
yeah, I remember a lot.
Do you know what studio he recorded it in, or was it done at home? Or do you
It
remember?
wasn't done at home. Although when I was a real young kid, they used to have jam sessions and rehearsals in the front room of our house. And I remember I used to have to make drinks for some of the musicians.
You're like a bartender.
Yeah, I was a bartender. I was.
Going back to the Uncle Funkenstein album.
It's Uncle
Yeah,
Funkenstein.
Funkenstein. Okay, tell me about that name.
Well, I think George Clinton was kind of popular back then. And so he wanted people to know that jazz wasn't just jazz. It encompassed all kinds of music. And that's why he wrote scores for violins and everything else. And he just said, it's Uncle Funkenstein. But he didn't spell it that way, so nobody would pronounce it that way. And then the reunion riff was the first one. But my husband and I's favorite is really Blue Robe.
It's an incredible track.
Yeah, that one is really incredible.
Making this record was time-consuming. It was a major expense. What drove him to do it, and what did you all think of the final product?
Well, I thought it was a very good venue, a product. I was concerned because he tried to do it all himself without any help from
Anybody, financially or anything. Nobody put a dime on it.
I don't know why he was like that, but I think he thought if he reached out for help, they would take part of the credit or something, and he didn't want that.
Sure. Yeah.
So I think that's the reason why.
He didn't want to compromise his vision and wanted to have this exactly as he saw it. Yeah, his own. Yeah.
Yes.
And I know since he had to rent studio time, he tried to do the whole recording in 2 days. Wow. I mean, it seemed like that to me.
Well,
because they would work late into the night, and
he spent a lot of time on it, and I think he paid the musicians what he could.
Yeah.
What
it was
was standard. And they agreed to whatever he gave them.
At the time, but now some of them were coming out of the woodwork, trying to take credit for things that they didn't do. They got paid for it with the market at the time.
And some of them think that since the recording is doing so well overseas and all, that I would be getting some of the money. I haven't received a dime of it. But
not even for the album that sold for $3,744.
Right.
Yeah, I want to ask you about the audience that's formed around this music over the decades. Bonnie, you mentioned that Russell had trouble getting this played on local radio, and I know there was some newspaper articles that came out locally when he put the album together, but it didn't go very far in the first couple years.
Right.
But over time, this record developed an international audience. It's called the Holy Grail of Jazz. As you mentioned, a copy sold on eBay, I think, for over $4,000. And there's a copy for sale now on a record website sealed for $8,000. It hasn't sold yet, but someone's
I saw that.
$8,000 for it. Yeah. What do you guys make of all this?
Well, he said he wouldn't get famous until he died anyway. And
that's right.
And he either liked you or he didn't. And if he didn't like you, his persona would turn some people off, I would say.
I know how it is when musicians press up their own records. They have boxes of them cluttering up the house. How do you feel now, looking back? These records are worth a fortune now.
Well,
what do you make of that?
I don't have any of them.
Yeah. What impression does that leave on you?
Well, I just wish that he had made more.
Yeah, made more albums.
Let's take a break from our conversation with Lexie Webster and Bonita Webster-Coleman and listen to another track from Russell Webster's 1983 album, Uncle Funkenstein. This is Blue Robe. That was Russell Webster with Blue Robe. On this week's show, we're celebrating the life of Russell's wife, Lexie Webster. She passed away last month at the age of 96. Let's return to our 2023 conversation with Lexie and her daughter, Bonita Webster-Coleman.
I want to give you a chance each to talk about his legacy here in Indianapolis. You know, it's been how many years since he passed? 15?
He passed
16?
2007.
Yeah.
7. Mhm.
Yeah. So it's been about over a decade since he passed.
Right.
We're still talking about him on radio. We're still playing his music. His music is bigger now than I think it ever was.
Than it was
exactly.
before, while he was living.
Yeah. Tell me about his legacy as a musician, and do you think the city does enough to honor and pay tribute to him and other musicians in his generation?
Not really. I do remember that Mayor Hudnut, was it? He gave him a key to the city and told him that his birthday was Russell Webster Day, but nobody ever knew about it.
It wasn't promoted.
No.
Yeah.
He was just a nice man, because I took his x-ray. I'm an x-ray tech, and he gave me a key to the city, too.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
What do you make of Russell's legacy? What are your thoughts on that? We're still talking about him and listening to his music a decade after he passed.
It's timeless. I mean, I think that most of his music could stand up to anything that's being played now. I know a lot of people would probably like to sample it, and may have, and we just don't know about it.
Mrs. Webster, what do you think of Russell's legacy?
His music is it's timeless. It can be, from now on, somebody will enjoy it. Not just for the time he was here and wrote it, but years from now, somebody will pick that up and say, "Well, look, let's listen to this and see what we can make of it." And a lot of people will enjoy that.
I'm sure your family has a great sense of pride seeing how much longevity this music has and how much people are willing to pay for it. And that must be a great source of pride for the family, is it?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
You can still hear it on YouTube for free. So anybody that I meet that really enjoys jazz, I usually send them a link of it so that they can hear it. And whenever I get any feedback, he's the real deal. So that makes me proud.
Any final thoughts you want to share on Russell Webster, his music, or anything we talked about today? Any final thoughts you want to share?
No, other than his music has inspired a lot of people. And when you hear it, you kind of wake up and listen.
Because it wasn't sleepy jazz.
Yeah.
It had a punch. You could feel it if you were into it. And so I think that it'll be around much longer than any of us will be around.
Oh, yes. It will outlive us.
I agree. Bonnie, Mrs. Webster, thank you so much for taking time to be here today and share your memories of the great composer and jazz musician, Russell Webster, a legend of Indianapolis jazz. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We've been listening back to our 2023 conversation with Bonita Webster-Coleman and Lexie Webster. Lexie passed away last month at the age of 96. We send our condolences to her friends and family. And that's all the time we have this week. Thank you for listening. You can meet me here on the Avenue again next week, same time, same place. You can find the Echoes of Indiana Avenue podcast on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, or wherever you download your podcast. Echoes of Indiana Avenue is written and produced by Kyle Long and hosted and co-produced by me, Herman Butch Slaughter.
Nobody knows on uptown, baby, like I do. Nobody knows on uptown, baby, like I do. If you will stop and listen, I will tell you a thing or two.
WFYI podcasts are brought to you by Visit Bloomington, Indiana, where Hoagie Carmichael, Booker T. Jones, and John Mellencamp impacted the city and helped it become a music destination. Bloomington is home to a variety of musical artists, live music venues, and hundreds of annual music events. More information at musicbloomington.com.